guys, I'm Amy May and I've been on Mounjaro since April 2024 and have lost 80 pounds or roughly 36 kilograms. It took me about 18 months to reach maintenance and now it's nearly going on 2 years actually that I've been on Mounjaro, and that's mad because it's definitely gone fast. But I just thought I'd make a little quick video to answer some questions that I've got. Namely, do you have to calorie count and do you have to regularly work out in order to lose weight on Mounjaro or a similar GLP-1? Now, looking back, because I know in my last video I said that I averaged going to the gym about 4 times a week, but looking back at the first 6 months of my journey, I'll put it on screen, it looks like I hit the gym hard. And I wouldn't necessarily recommend going as much as I did. However, another thing that I've been open and honest about since day one is that going to the gym for me was, well, a big reason, I wouldn't say maybe primarily, was for my mental health. As we all know, if you've ever done a workout, you do tend to feel a lot better after that workout. And so the primary reason for me going to the gym a lot was because it gave me routine, it gave me structure, and it sort of kept me level. It kept my mental state at a sort of level, right? And so that was the reason that I went to the gym so much. Primarily, also obviously I was trying to lose weight in the first sort of 6 months of my journey. Now, as time went on, I didn't go to the gym as much. I still regularly went up until, well, we all know basically around October of 2025, I developed a drop foot. Like basically a flipper. My left foot's like a flipper. I can't feel half my leg, half my foot. I'm waiting on an MRI and I can't lift my foot and I keep tripping over it essentially. But I hadn't gone to the gym, to be honest, regularly for like at least a good month before that. And I haven't been to the gym since the beginning of October. And I think drop foot gate was like the 3rd week of October. And I think I have sort of been using that as an excuse. And what I've realised the last few months is that I do feel grotty when I don't go to the gym. And so I rejoined last week and I've been 3 times since then and I do feel a lot better for it. So bottom line, long story short, no, you don't have to exercise, at the start of your Mounjaro journey, or you don't have to go to the gym because obviously, and this is important to know, like exercise is different for different people, right? People have different physical limitations. People might have, for example, a drop foot, things like that. Or even if you're busy, you're working 12-hour shifts, you're on the night shift, you're knackered. Everyone's situation is different. You've got kids, everyone's situation is different, right? And so in theory, no, you don't have to go to the gym and exercise regularly in order to lose weight. And you also don't have to calorie count. Before we get on to calorie counting, I know some people have asked me, what exercises did you do? What did you do in the gym that you think helped with loose skin, or you think that helped sort of, not a flat stomach, because I wouldn't say I've got a flat stomach. If you see my other video, my last video, you can see my tummy. But what exercises do you think helped you lose belly fat? And I'm going to be completely honest with you. I don't think there was anything specific, because as you've probably heard by now, you can't spot reduce fat. For the first few months that I was on Mounjaro, my face, because to be honest, looking back, I'll see if I can put a picture on screen, I was very puffy, I was very inflamed, and my face definitely was puffy essentially. And I think the weight first came off my face, because my face was where I first noticed it go first, and then sort of the rest of my body. But I genuinely think my stomach was the last place that weight wanted to go off. So, and I don't think there's anything in particular that I did. I'll put clips of my gym journey throughout on screen because I didn't have a plan, right? I turned up to the gym and I did what I fancied. I made it up as I went along. Like, I'd go there and I'd be like, oh, I fancy doing arms. And then I got there and decided, nah, and I'd do something else. The one thing I do regret is not incorporating regular ab workouts, from day one. And even ab workouts, obviously you need to know your limitations. As I've said before, I've got a weak core and I also have a long-standing history of lower back pain. And so I found when I eventually did start doing ab workouts, and that was many, many months in, that certain ab workouts would aggravate my back pain. And I think that's because basically my posture, my core muscles aren't there, essentially. Even now, 80 pounds lighter, I still have a weak core, and so that means that my back's taking the strain when I'm doing those exercises. And so although I do wish that I'd started ab workouts earlier, you know, I'd have had to adapt them to my current limitations and my current capabilities, because I haven't, ever since the drop foot, and to be honest, I was being quote unquote lazy prior to the drop foot, but ever since then I've been weary of ab workouts because I know what aggravates my back. And obviously we don't know if my drop foot is the result of a slipped disc, or for example if my nerve, the perineal nerve, is trapped at my knee. And it could be trapped at my knee because basically I sleep on my side in like the fetal position with my knees together. And so one working theory is that basically during sleep, my right knee is gone on my left knee and compressed the nerve, and now I can't walk properly, essentially. But I'm not trying to deep it because I'm still waiting on the urgent MRI and it's been 3 months. So we're not going to deep it right now. But I don't actually remember where I was going with this. So basically, I don't personally think that there's any specific workouts that I did that targeted my stomach, because my stomach was the last to go. I mainly went to the gym because, to be honest, I did enjoy it. And again, like I said, structure, routine, and my mental state. Because my mental state prior to Mounjaro was delicate, and obviously starting Mounjaro didn't automatically fix all my problems. Do you know what I mean? Like, it made my life a lot better from the get-go, but I still had a lot going on. And so exercise for me was something that helped my mental health. I just felt better about myself in general. It was a distraction for me, you know, gave me routine, gave me something to do. But obviously, as I've said, everyone's different. So you don't need to go 0 to 100. And I think I did do that a bit. I think I did kind of go 0 to 100. And I did wear myself out at points. And so I wouldn't recommend going to the gym as much as I did. Because the thing is, if you've never been to the gym before, or if you haven't exercised in years and years, don't suddenly start going 5 days a week. Don't suddenly start doing that. But so I wouldn't recommend doing what I did, essentially, in terms of the amount of exercise I did. But as I said, I had a lot going on, and it was mainly for my mental health that I went. And it did, you know, I put my energy into it. I did feel better after. And there were periods of time when, say, I'd gone to the gym 5 days in a row and I was worn out, I did allow myself to rest and take a few days off. Whereas before Mounjaro, if I'd have done that, I'd have never gone back. Well, I'd have never gone to the gym that consistently before Mounjaro. I'd have probably gone hard for like a week or two, then never gone again for 6 months. So I'm not saying you need to work out that much. I think my point being, do what is right for you. Don't be afraid to ease yourself in. I think personally for mental health, even like going for a light walk, or even just at home doing like standing marches or something, I'd recommend that. But again, you know, if you've got physical health problems, if you've got kids, if you're doing this, that and the other, it's not really sort of realistic to say to people, yeah, you need to go to the gym, you need to do this, you need to do that. I, to this day, make my gym workouts up. I don't have a plan. I've tried to have a plan before, but I'm not someone who's very good at sticking to a plan if I make it in advance. I don't know if you guys remember Active April last year, Active April 2025. I literally had like a little gym book, right, where I was going to log all my workouts because my plan was to sort of get into it in Active April. There's only about 3 pages of that book that have been used. So it can be reused for Active April 2026. But I'm someone who, you know, I'll turn up to the gym and I'll just see what I fancy. And to be honest, there's been times I've turned up to the gym and I can't be arsed and I go straight home. And that's happened on multiple occasions, but I don't beat myself up for that. So I wouldn't recommend going to the gym as much as I did. I'd recommend tailoring things for your ability, you know, the time that you have. And I don't think that you need to go to the gym or even to exercise to lose weight. Either on Mounjaro or not on Mounjaro. I did it because it made, again, mental health made me feel better. And, you know, it's the same with calorie counting. I don't think you necessarily need to calorie count because I don't calorie count these days. And it's funny because when I first started, I think I got really into protein. And I was like, yeah, you need, I was aiming for like 100 grams of protein a day. I'd never counted protein before in my life, but suddenly that became a big thing for me. And I was really focused on protein. And I think at the start I did calorie count. To be honest, I calorie counted, I'd say, for a good chunk of my journey from the beginning. Now I don't, but then also it's like, because when you eat like 3 cream eggs and like a family size bar of chocolate, it's one of them. I still think I'm in that mindset that I had before Mounjaro, where, for example, say you're calorie counting, you're being good, and then you have a kebab or something, and then you're like, well, I'm obviously not going to log that on my fitness pal, like I'm not going to count that, and then you just stop counting for the rest of the day. I still do that, but I think what you need to be aware of is your own triggers as well, because I've said before, calorie counting for me can be quite triggering, and it can put me in a headspace that I don't want to be in, because you can get obsessed with it. I think it's very easy to get obsessed with it. And obviously it takes me back to that place as a teenager, all throughout my life when I've been on diets and I've been severely restricting myself and doing unhealthy things to try and lose weight. And so there have been periods throughout my journey when I have been calorie counting that I've noticed it's been triggering me, and that, I might be becoming a bit obsessed and it might be becoming unhealthy. So then I've stopped doing it for a bit, because I don't want to allow myself to get back into that headspace, because it's easy. It's really easy to go back there, to get back there. And so if calorie counting is something that triggers you, if it's something that's going to put you in a frame of mind where you're obsessed, you're constantly thinking about it, you're restricting yourself, don't do that. Mounjaro obviously is an appetite suppressant, and at the minute I eat basically whatever I want. And that's one of the reasons I've not done what I eat in a day, because I think I told you the other day, like I literally, especially since like I quit alcohol, I've been going through sober periods, and then my sugar cravings have increased. I've eaten like dutty, do you know what I mean? And so you don't need to calorie count on Mounjaro. If you do want to, don't overly restrict yourself, because, try and kind of do what feels right for your body, which is frustrating because that's not specific advice. But if you're not calorie counting, the Mounjaro hopefully will work as an appetite suppressant. But just be mindful and be aware, like, if you don't think you've eaten enough that day, that's not a win. If you think, I'm eating too little calories, yes, you might be losing more weight at the start. And at the start, when you're getting used to the Mounjaro and you're getting used to the appetite suppression, that could well happen. Because I don't think I was eating enough at the start. But I suppose if you wanted to do that, or if you wanted to at least have a baseline or a ballpark, you could go on one of them TDEE calculators. So it's like total daily energy expenditure. And you put in your weight, your height, all that, how active you are. So I'll put mine on screen. So when I first started Mounjaro, I was 13 stone or 182 pounds. Don't know what that is in kilograms. And so my maintenance calories to just maintain the weight that I was at would have been about 1700, 1800 per day. And then that calculator can tell you, okay, if you want to lose a pound a week, if you want to lose 2 pounds a week, so 1 to 2 pounds is the sort of healthy target. You don't really want to be losing like 4 or 5 pounds a week. Maybe like the first week's a lot of water weight, but you don't want to be doing that consistently. In order to maintain that weight loss, they do recommend 1 to 2 pounds a week as a sort of healthy weight loss. And if you put all your stuff into that calculator, that'll tell you. So the 1700, 1800 calories for me, when at the weight I was when I started Mounjaro, I think I put in I was sedentary. But if you have a look on the screen, it'll show you, light exercise, moderate exercise, what calories sort of are your maintenance calories for different things. And then I think, do they say, is it like a 500, whatever your maintenance is, if you try and go 500 calories below. But at the end of the day, if prior to Mounjaro you were eating a lot more than your maintenance calories, even cutting down to your maintenance calories, you're going to see a difference there. You need to be realistic, and you don't need to go 0 to 100. It's very tempting, especially when you see the weight first coming off. It's very, very tempting to be like, but don't do it. Because once you find yourself overthinking the calories and becoming a bit too obsessed with the calories, I'd recommend that's when you just think, nah, like I'm not going to monitor calories for a bit. And you don't need to punish yourself. if one day, you know, you might say, for example, the first week on Mounjaro, you're really appetite suppressed, you're not really fancying that much, and so you do notice a big weight loss, that can get sort of intoxicating, and you can think, oh yeah, like I'll keep eating that amount of calories. But if you're not eating at least your, you know, basal metabolic rate, if you're not touching that with a barge pole, then that's unhealthy, and it'll sort of wreck your metabolism in the long run. Like, I get it, man, I get it. Because I lost 6 pounds on my first week in Mounjaro, but I think a lot of that was water weight. I'll see if I can find, because I just did a video on my first 6 months on Mounjaro and how much weight I lost each month. So obviously I had a big drop in the beginning, but then after that, I probably averaged about £2 a week for the duration of my weight loss journey. And then also I had at least 2 periods where I sort of stalled, and there was a month or two where I didn't lose anything, or even like put on a pound, put on £2. Again, I wouldn't panic if that happens to you, because it happened to me, and like I've still managed to do it. And I wouldn't start obsessing, I wouldn't start restricting, because that's when you get into a dark place, and I wouldn't recommend that. So I think I've rambled enough. Bottom line, right? If you want to, because a lot of people, and it is nice actually to hear, but a lot of people say I'm inspiring, but there's a reason that I don't tell people what to do, and that I'm open and honest about sharing my journey. And I mean, I think I spoke about my bowels a bit too much, to be honest, but you know, like I said, at one point I was folate deficient because I wasn't eating enough leafy greens. So like, don't copy what other people do. You really do need to sort of figure it out for yourself, and it is difficult, but it is it's comforting to know that there is a community of people out there that can relate to you. But long story short, because this hasn't been short as I wanted, basically, no, you don't have to calorie count. If you're someone that struggled with that in the past, don't do it. It's not worth it. Don't get yourself into an overly restrictive mentality, and because it is a dark, like that slippery slope, that mudslide, it gets you, so don't do that. And also, don't look at what everyone else is doing. Look at yourself. And you don't need to go to the gym. You don't need to technically do any exercise. I obviously did it for my mental health, but, you know, I was about to say watch what you're eating, but just do what feels right for you. And if you've been eating, you know, 10 donuts a night, just slowly cut that down to like 6, you know, 8, 6, whatever. But don't suddenly expect to take your first dose of Mounjaro and wake up a changed person, because you need to be mindful that your body's spent X amount of years in the state it's in, doing what it's doing. And it's a big change, and you don't need to change everything at once, is what I'm saying. So yes, I went hard at the gym. I went to the gym, didn't really know what I was doing, but I had a kick about, tried different things. But that's not to say that you need to start going to the gym 4 or 5 times a week. Do what you are able to, and do what is realistic and what is sustainable. And if that's just to, I don't know, just walk around your house for a bit, just a bit more than you normally do to start, then do that. Don't sort of think, oh, they've lost that weight, they've done this, so I need to do this. You need to listen to your body, and you need to not take risks and not overdo it, essentially. So yeah, sorry, I thought this was trying to be a short video, and I don't think it is, but thank you everyone for your support. I've just hit 4,000 subscribers, which is lovely. That is amazing, so thank you guys. If you've got any questions, let me know, and you'll see me again soon.